You've really got to do your homework. That is the best advice, is really, really do your homework, both on what you're creating and offering to the market and the market itself. I didn't do my homework. That's the reality. And I've learnt everything, as you probably already know, the hard way and the expensive way and the long way. And although that's a great way to learn, today it's different. Today I am doing my homework, and, we're not making decisions based on intuition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I design based off intuition, but I don't make commercial decisions anymore based on intuition. And for 8 years I did. What are they doing? And we're breaking down other people in the same space that are where we want to be, and we're looking at their entire journey. We're looking at what publications are they putting themselves into, what hotels are they positioned in, what galleries are representing them, where are they exhibiting their work, how are they selling, who are they selling to, who's their market.
Yep.
We're looking at their financial data. We are using data. That's the reality. We're looking at what's working. We're looking at other brands, what they're doing. We're talking to clients. I've sat down with clients and certainly a lot of them are also very passionate about timepieces, and those horology houses do these experiences very, very well. Audemars Piguet, Richard Mille, they do incredible experiences for their clients, and so we're really trying to take that and set that as the baseline of what we do. We can't spend the same money that they are. We can't have, Roger Federer at a luncheon on the weekend.
And his whole philosophy was just make good art.
That's true. I think it's very true.
Yeah.
It's very, if you can...
Yeah, it rings true for you.
I try and cut myself away from as much of the administrative work as possible, because that clouds my days and clouds my mind. And I really now try to... all I really want to focus on is...
This week, we're thrilled to welcome back Giacomo Ciufoli, whose rich cultural lineage, upbringing in Adelaide, and pivot from aviation to bespoke high jewellery we first explored in March 2023. Since then, Giacomo spent 18 months cultivating his atelier in Florence, immersed in Italian craftsmanship and innovation, and has more recently relocated to London to scale his luxury jewellery business globally. Today, we catch up on his journey and explore what it takes to navigate the world of European luxury, creativity, and craftsmanship at the highest level. Giacomo, welcome back to Tales from the Top.
Thank you very much, Lee. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Great to see you again.
And the time has flown. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, that leads me straight to my first question. What's the biggest milestone since our last conversation?
Oh, goodness me. Oh, that's a tough one. It's been a roller coaster. I think it's been really a roller coaster. The last 2 years have been absolutely madness. All very much in a positive direction, but it's been an enormous shift to move away from Australia and to expand into these new markets and new territories. It's come with a lot of challenges, but also a lot of great opportunity. In terms of milestones, it's
many to choose from by the sounds of
it. There's a lot, and I think it's almost right now that I think right now we're about to be represented by a very well-known gallery in Paris. Mm-hmm. So this is really the first time that my work is now being considered as art, which is, I think, for me,
wonderful. What
I've been striving for a very long time, and to finally now have that recognition, and it's for me a big achievement.
Tell us more. Where's the gallery?
Mm-hmm. So the gallery is called Second Petale in Paris, and they represent a number. So very jewellery focused in the art jewellery space, and they represent a number of art jewellers, and they showcase at which you may know, I think, PAD. So PAD Art Design.
That's an interesting point. Art jewellery. Can you define that for us? Because a lot of people probably might not even have heard of that before.
Yeah, it's an unusual space, and depending who you're talking to, people have a different opinion on what is considered art jewellery. For me, we're working in a very high end space, so you have your art jewellery, which is, I guess, much more affordable and for everyday wear, and it's typically a lot of exploration of very unique and unusual techniques, as well as materials. So for us, we have a very clear identity now, design identity, and we're constantly pushing this envelope of innovation, and we're now exploring countless unusual and exotic materials, from the very, very ancient to the future, and that goes for anything from dinosaur bone to meteorite, through to forged carbon and titanium. So we're kind of playing in a.
Where does one source dinosaur bone?
I was going to ask that question. Do you get onto the dinosaur bone wholesale website? So and they all specialise. Well, they've only got Tyrannosauruses. I'm really after a little bit of Strontiansaurus. What's a Strontiansaurus?
Where we sourcing? I mean, I'll be very honest with you. We work with a couple of dealers, and it's an unusual network of people, and it seems to be quite quiet. I was introduced to one, and then later to another dealer, and I mean these people, they deal in all different kinds of artifacts, and that's from dinosaur bone to meteorite. And I mean, just last week I met with one of them in New York, and he showed me a piece of meteorite. It's about big. So
wow,
okay, that's sizable.
40 odd centimeters in length, and it's an enormous slab. And these people, they just collect, and they purchase these unusual artifacts from all different periods, from ancient African and all the way through. And so it's very exciting to visit, and then to be presented with so many different items, and materials to kind of play with. And then for us, it's, something may look wonderful, and it's not until we start working with it that we run into the challenges, and it can be a bit of a gamble,
right?
Where we might spend, to be honest, we recently made we haven't finished it, to be honest, but we're in the midst of finishing a lovely cuff, and the piece is made out of meteorite, and we're now on our third piece of meteorite that we're cutting, because the last two have broken during the process. And it's
because it's the structure, the grain structure is really strong, isn't it? I mean,
exactly.
For some reason it turned up in my Instagram feed, and I've got a bit obsessed by watching this guy with his meteorite, and he goes out and collects it, and he's got his big, I don't know what it is. It almost looks like a giant metal detector, that he wears to find these things. And the way that the I don't know, it's like hundreds of thousands of years. It's the only way that this kind of grain structure can come about.
Yeah, it's
to show all of the grain structure. Sorry, we're digressing here, but
it's a fascinating material. It's very brittle. It's essentially iron, but it's incredibly brittle.
Yeah.
And one wrong move and you've broken the whole piece, and it's not a cheap material to work with. So it's there is a bit of a gamble with this, but that's the.
And does a dinosaur bone look beautiful? Well, what does it look like? The only ones I've seen are like a bronzy
bit
colour.
of fossil.
Look, they're quite, to be honest, they're quite porous. We find, so it's a matter for us to find pieces that we can work with that aren't too porous, because a lot of what we're creating is solid pieces of material. As opposed to just layering or embellishing with the bone. We're using solid pieces, and it's again the same story. We've we've burnt through a number of pieces already, and it's costly, but I think that is really what matters at the end of the day is if it takes 3, 4, 5 times to get this right, the final piece means a lot more.
It's just part of the
journey
process.
of it.
So I could come to you and say, look, I'm a bit of a Bronze Age enthusiast. If you got a little bit of Roman dagger, you could put into some cufflinks for me. That's the sort of thing that you'd be doing.
Very much so. I mean, if you can think of it, there's generally a way to find it, and that's really what is so exciting, is going on this hunt for a unique and interesting material that has a story, and I think that's what excites me.
So this is the core of your new brand identity is based around these rare artifacts?
Well, it is. It's based around time.
Okay.
And I think I try and think back of how do I get here, and as you know, my background's in aviation as a pilot, and I think it's this fascination, especially flying so much, of looking down at the earth and this vast land, and this is millions of years of history, and then opposite that is this future of possibilities, this world above us that's unexplored and so unknown to us, and so it's really this timeline and this fascination between both the past, present, and then into the future. So as much as a 4,000-year-old piece of mammoth ivory excites me, so does a piece of forged carbon. It all has its story and its meaning behind it.
It's really unique in the space. I mean, everyone seems to be focused on gems and golds and those types of things. I guess this is the exciting part of the new direction for you.
Well, it is, and I mean, what I found, it's fascinating when I look back, because there was a period for many years where I could walk down, let's say, Bond Street in London, and I'd look at the windows of these jewellers, and it would excite me, and it would excite me a lot. And it wasn't until the day I walked down one of these streets and realised that it didn't excite me at all.
Right.
And it's quite unusual, but it really has no interest to me. And what I found is that it's this sea of sameness. Is that every jewelry house is using the same gemstones, the same materials, and they're just putting it together in a different format. And I mean, how do you? After a while, it's no longer exciting, is it?
Yeah, I remember when we went to Dubai, went to the gold souk there, and it was. Well, you look at one window and your jaw drops. And then you look at the next one and it's like it's the same as the guy next door, and then it's just 100 of those, and no one really standing out. I didn't know how you would choose which one you went in, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, it's exactly right. So it's really a question of how do you become, I guess, somewhat of a pioneer, and how do you stand out, from these other houses? Because we can't, we don't have the means to compete with these houses, and so we choose not to, and we play in our own space. And what we're finding, which is very interesting, is that our clients are clients of those same brands, but they've almost stopped buying from these larger houses, and they're now moving towards buying from smaller, smaller houses.
Is that a growing trend in? Well, I would say Western culture, that the niche is starting to take over. That small niche.
It is. Yeah, it is. I think I read an article last week. It is certainly US, UK, Europe. It's. I think Australia is almost always been this way to some extent.
Yeah.
I think to some extent because we don't really have a choice. We can't compete with the massive sales numbers, so we have to compete on quality and scarcity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But no, it's very, very much the case. And I think clients are really wanting that connection, that connection to the founder, to the designer, to the people making the piece. And they want to be part of that and part of that journey and feel more invested in that. And they also want something unique at the end of the day. So I think we're on the right track.
And involved with it, don't they? They really want to be part.
Well, they do. They do. They want to, and we share a lot of the progress of a piece being made for bespoke. Bespoke commissions will share updates as we create the piece, because you're spending a lot of money on a piece of jewellery that that reflects you, and I think it's nice to be part of that journey.
Could almost make a beautiful coffee book out of it at the end.
Oh, it's been considered. I think we've considered doing a small, I won't say coffee book, but to do a small book with each commission that we do. Right now we're working on our new packaging, and so our new packaging I've wanted to reflect the bespoke nature of my work. And don't get me wrong, it's changed a lot of my work. But for example, the packaging now, we paint each box to match the jewel that it holds. So we will use the colors of the stones, the patterns, the shapes, the form, whatever the inspiration is will then be reflected on the box. And it's really a matter of the box is becoming almost as collectible as the jewels themselves, and to tell a story.
Beautiful. Good. Well, just change subject. I mean, when we last spoke to you, you were just about to head overseas, and the first port of call before we moved to London was Florence. Can you tell us about that experience?
Well, it was a very unique experience because you're moving to a foreign country, and it's Italy, and it's probably not the easiest place to move to for business. We had a great time. I mean, we had a fantastic time. We opened a fantastic space there, and to be immersed in so much culture and history was incredible. In terms of developing the business, it was a slower year for us, and I think rightfully so, where it's a new market. But what we quickly worked out was our market wasn't so much European, but it was US and British.
Right.
Were the key buyers. And so we positioned ourselves in we had quite a lovely display at the Four Seasons Hotel in Florence, and positioned ourselves there. And what we found is that, our primary clientele were Americans, which wasn't so surprising. But it was a good to work that out now, and to work out who's spending the money, who's buying, who wants our pieces, because it helped drive the next big decision we made, which was to leave Florence, for London.
So how did you differentiate between the client actually being a foreigner a visitor to Italy, and you're simply not being able to compete with in the market because you are new to the country? Does that have an impact?
Well, it's not. To be honest, it's. How do I answer this? I can't say we were competing so much with the local market. Florence has a history with jewellery, but it's mostly in gold jewellery. in terms of very bespoke and artistic pieces, there wasn't much on offer. But what we found out quite quickly was the culture of the Florentine people was very conservative, and they weren't the kind of people that would purchase, large ornate pieces of jewellery. That's a little bit more common up north as you come close to Milan. There's a bit more of that culture, but it doesn't compare to the strength of that in the US, for example.
So nuanced, isn't it? And these tiny little things, you can spend 6 months. Something you can explain in a sentence, you can spend 6 months of your time trying to work it out.
Oh, yeah. So it's selling to the right person who wants to buy the product in a foreign environment. So the American and the British visitor wants to have a piece of something interesting that they bought from a romantic
that's
location.
interesting too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that same person might not purchase in their own country,
Yes.
but will
they typically won't.
themselves into another country.
Yeah. So
they typically won't. There's a story
Yes.
behind it. They're spending it's an important piece of jewellery for them, and they're spending a lot of money, and they want the story and the romance behind that.
Yeah.
Which is also interesting because what we also noticed is the mentality when traveling to let's say somewhere like Florence. There isn't the mentality when coming to Florence isn't to shop. It's to immerse yourself in the culture, in the history, the architecture, but it's not to shop. And so, if you go to Italy to shop, you're generally going to Milan. And you're coming with that mentality, I'm here to spend money, I want to buy myself a new piece of jewellery, a new bag. That's not typically the mentality with Florence. So
why then did you choose to go to London from Florence rather than to Milan from Florence?
I think London is one of the biggest hubs for what we're doing. It's an enormous hub. It's one of the greatest markets for art jewellery, high jewellery. It's also English speaking, which made sense. That was one of the greatest challenges, was being in a country that spoke English as a second language. It posed a lot of difficulties and challenges, and there's a lot of bureaucracy. And by the end of that time, we were eager to move to London, and it's really for that opportunity.
You've been there since January, hasn't it? You've been there 6 months.
Yeah, since January. Yeah, 6 months. Yeah, and it's been. I think what we've done in 6 months is greater than the last 8 years in in this world. So
that's amazing.
It's and look, I have a fantastic team here, which I cannot take the credit. I've got a wonderful team. I have a wonderful strategic advisor as well, and she's an absolute go-getter. I mean, she's out every single day, speaking with galleries, speaking with retailers, with clients, hotels. She is constantly working at it, and it's opened a lot of doors for us.
It's always about people, isn't it? Getting the right people on board.
It is, and being in the right place, I think, is enormous.
I mean, it's all about having the right people in the right seats. And I'm guessing you've got her to thank you for getting you into the gallery.
We do. I mean, there's a wonderful story. This is with the gallery in Milan that we're meeting with at the end of this month. And she flies to Milan, and she, with the intention to meet or to see these two galleries, to try and understand what they're doing and is aligned with us. And she goes to the first and meets with them, and that all goes well. And then she goes to the second, and turns out that they're closed that day. And she sees a light on. She's telling me this story from Milan, and you see there's a light on inside. And she starts knocking on all the doors, all the windows.
Wow, she is a go-getter.
And she's adamant, and then she's really adamant.
Today's episode is sponsored by us, Chiron Audio and Devison Design.
At Chiron, we enrich people's lives with music systems that create lifelike three-dimensional images that evoke real emotional responses and allow true connection to recorded music. With our strategic partners, we can help you create the ultimate environment to enjoy your Chiron music system. From interior design guidance through to an entire bespoke listening room, we can assist you to bring your dream to life. Life is better with music, and music is better with Chiron.
Devison Design creates luxury garage environments for the discerning automotive collector, preserving your collection in surroundings that are more gallery than garage, and so enhancing the value of your enjoyment. With projects across Australia and Europe, Devison Design provides design services worldwide. Truly bespoke garages start with inspiring designs. Let Devison Design inspire you.
To get in touch with one of our principals directly, visit our website, chironaudio.com.au or devisondesign.com.au to book a consultation.
And now on with the show.
And, she said it took about 5 minutes, so she kept knocking. And finally this lady came and opened the door. Lets her in, and they start chatting, and there's two ladies there, the two curators and owners of the gallery. And, she tells them about us and what we're doing, and then they ask to see some of our work. And so they're looking at our work, and they go away for a moment and they start speaking amongst each other in Italian. Now, they don't know that Kasia also speaks Italian. She's Polish, but her husband's Italian, and so she speaks fluent Italian. And she plays it cool, and she's just eavesdropping on the conversation, and they're, saying, we love the work, this is really good. We should do something with Giacomo, blah, blah. And they come back, and, she already knows exactly what's going on, and she has the in, and that's history. And so that's, it represents her very well. She's very, very adamant.
I'm so glad that story didn't end up with a Carbonari turning up as a result of petrol banging on the door. That's good.
Oh dear. So what have been some of the biggest challenges in the move, do you think?
I mean, it's a costly adventure. Let's be honest. It is a costly adventure. And I can't stress that enough. I think what we budgeted versus what we end up spending, it just blows right out of proportion. Logistically, it's not been too difficult. To be honest, it maybe helps that with Italy, certainly as a Italian or European citizen, helped me, made things a lot easier. With the UK, there's visas which make it very, very straightforward. I think the biggest challenges, to be honest, right now for me have been actually putting together a collection. Because, I've worked for 8 years strictly bespoke. That works well because the client comes to me, we discuss the ideas, and when it's time to begin, they pay the deposit. That covers a lot of the expense of the piece. And, it's a very smooth operation. And it's very easy to manage. It certainly makes it more difficult acquiring clients. You don't always know when the next client's, going to arrive. So that's a big challenge. But now to actually put together a collection of pieces, and right now it's about 15 pieces where we're putting together. It becomes incredibly costly, and it's this race against the clock. For us right now, it's probably the most stressful time of the year because it's coming into August, and for Italy, that means holidays.
Right.
So the workshop is closed for 3 to 4 weeks. And so we've got to get everything done right now before that closure.
Do you get a double whammy? Because in Australia, that happens in December. It's like doors are closed to see you in March.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's, I'll be honest, in Australia in December is when I come back to Australia. So
Yeah.
December, January, I'll come back and try and take a bit of a holiday then.
Yep.
I think it's not so wise to take holidays in the summer here because that's when, you know, the Americans are coming to London.
Yes.
And that's when we want to be available to meet with clients.
Yeah. So that was the great thing that you learned, wasn't it? Go to London to sell to Americans.
Honestly, that's it. So our positioning is, so, you know, we're positioned now in the Berkeley Hotel in Knightsbridge. We have a lovely display in there. And then we're opening a display in the new Rosewood Hotel, which opens next month in Mayfair. And that's in the former US Embassy. So,
Congratulations.
you already know.
Wow.
Thank you. We already know that the market, it's 60%, you know, US, and it's our market. So we are, it's exactly as you say, we are putting ourselves in London and we're selling to Americans, and the Middle
Go
East.
back in time 5 years and say, just whisper that in your ear. Go to London to sell to Americans. I mean, how the hardships that you've been through to discover that one.
It has been
It's
absolutely
remarkable, isn't it?
it's riddled with hardships.
Joys too,
but it doesn't.
Great achievements.
You know what? It doesn't really stop. I think we put pressure on ourselves to constantly keep developing and driving, and the problems just get larger and more expensive. But
then the solutions and the rewards balance that up.
well, that's it. They are proportional. So it's certainly much more exciting, and it's hard because I can look back and go, and I sometimes do this. I tell myself, I wish I had left Australia much sooner. But then, you know, I wouldn't be in the same position right now.
Yeah, you can
had I
balance
done
it up
that.
by
So
saying you weren't in the right, you may not have been in the right mindset, or that the lessons you had learned up to that point hadn't
Exactly.
been learned. And so you might have, or you may have succeeded.
There's
but
just no shortcuts, is it?
It is. But I think that the big question at the moment is for the entrepreneur who wants to do what you've done, entering that new market, what's the advice?
I think you've really got to do your homework. And that is the best advice, is really, really do your homework, both on what you're creating and offering to the market and the market itself. I didn't do my homework. That's the reality. And I've learnt everything, as you probably already know, the hard way and the expensive way and the long way. And although that's a great way to learn, today it's different. Today I am doing my homework, and, you know, we're not making decisions based on intuition.
Yeah.
You know, I design based on intuition, but I don't make commercial decisions anymore based on intuition. And for 8 years I did. And, you know, it's very, very difficult.
This is interesting, actually, because I had a similar conversation this week with my mentor, and we were talking about this. Obviously, intuition is what you have to go with at the beginning. Is it this? And then you ask the question, but then there has to be proof. There has to be a whole series of experiments that are put into place before you launch 100% into a thing. It's okay. It might be this, but let's try and kill this idea with a whole heap of experiments so we can move on fast. Is that what kind of experiments did you put into place?
I mean, for us, I'm going to say experiments per se, but it's really just looking at what's working for our, let's say, competitors or people doing something similar and doing it very well. What are they doing? And I mean, we are breaking down other people in the same space, that are where we want to be. Yeah. And we're looking at their entire journey. We're looking at what publications are they putting themselves into, what hotels are they positioned in, what galleries representing them, where are they exhibiting their work, how are they selling, who are they selling to, who's their market. Yep. I mean, we're looking at their financial data. We're looking at everything, and we are really working out, like, what are they spending on what's their marketing budgets, you know, what are we're trying to pull as much data as possible to kind of understand their business. And
so when you talk about analysing the market and doing your homework, you very fine-tuning version of that. It's not
we have
just
to
do a couple of market researches and then off you go. It's constant analysis. You're very fine-tuned.
You have to. It's such a competitive and saturated field. I mean, we're in the art jewelry space. It's certainly less saturated, but someone is still going to. There's still going to be that client that's going to look at a piece from us, at a piece from another art jeweler and another, and decide where to put their £100,000. And we need to make sure that most of the time it's hopefully with us, because there's a lot of talent out there, and I think it's really about having that edge and doing everything exceptionally well. And so it's not just now about the pieces of jewelry. It's about the entire experience. It's about the after sales service and making sure that doesn't drop off after they've acquired the piece and left us, that service still continues to the same standard, that it started with. And, we find that there's a lot of that seems to drop off with a lot of, jewelry houses. It's the after sales service which starts to drop off. And so we're putting a lot of focus on that, and also just giving back. These clients are spending a lot of money, and so it means, it's only fair that we invest money back in doing dinners and events. And, we're right now trying to plan a trip where we'll take clients to the workshop in Valencia, but it'll be, a 3-4 day trip through Italy, and we'll do wine tasting through the region, and we'll make a really very bespoke experience. And they can then also see, where the pieces are made, how they're made. We'll have them on a bench and trying to set diamonds themselves. And so just to make something memorable and, attach
it's a far cry from
story.
The sticky rice cooking school, where you can come along for an afternoon and make your own rice bowls. big difference there.
There's.
So how are you working? How are you building that ultra high net worth client experience? How is that working?
So we're working in terms of the experience itself. It's again the same story. We are using data. That's the reality. We're looking at what's working. We're looking at other brands, what they're doing. We're talking to clients. I've sat down with clients, and it's certainly a lot of them are also very passionate about timepieces, and those horology houses do these experiences very, very well. Audemars Piguet, Richard Mille, they do incredible experiences for their clients. And so we're really trying to take that and set that as the baseline of what we do. We can't spend the same money that they are. We can't have, Roger Federer at a luncheon on the weekend. But we instead would try and elevate that luncheon and make it a more memorable experience in other ways.
I know a fairly good percussionist who'd probably come along and do a talk for you.
Roger Federer. I don't think so.
I think you'd go well. I think you'd be a real draw card.
Thanks, Jay.
No,
Thanks.
But no, it's. I certainly think. I mean. Car and audio, I think it needs to be. I've said this many times before. These markets for you.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing I found really interesting is you look from an outsider in, you go, right, I'm going to Italy. I'm in Italy. I've arrived, and it's like, oh no, hang on, I'm in Florence. I should have been in Milan.
Yeah, I
get to Milan. Oh, actually, I should have been in London, and it's just. Keep coming back to this word. It's so nuanced. It is. The other thing that really resonated with me before was you were talking about. You look at the comparative, luxury companies. You look at their entire journey. So it's not what they're just doing today. It's how did they get there? How did they get their first break? What was that first little leg up that they got into there? And I think, geez, The lady that you have working for you now, hold on to her with both hands because it sounds like you're answering a lot of the right questions.
She's wonderful, and this is quite remarkable. We have recently joined us in an advisory role. This gentleman named Mark Dunhill, so great grandson of Albert Dunhill family, and so he's the former CEO of Fabergé, the big Russian jewellery house. And, and so with Fabergé, when he joined Fabergé, the new owners that acquired Fabergé, their goal was to really reinvent the Fabergé name and put themselves alongside houses like Cartier and Bulgari. And, but, Fabergé has essentially been nothing since the 1800s. For an enormous period, it was essentially dormant and did nothing. So it was really using the name to reinvent, this brand. And I mean, they raised an enormous, I think it was about 40 odd million pounds they raised to create a collection. And the collection was worth about 30 million pounds.
Goodness.
And to then push that into the market. Yeah. But it failed. It was really, when you really break it down, money can't buy the story. At the end of the day, they were trying to create something. They were creating all these pieces, but you need the story. You're not going to compete with.
So how did they fail? Do you think?
Well, the clients were. I think. Well, there was a lack of substance, right? You're taking something that's been dormant for that many years, and you're really trying to reinvent it. But you're trying to put alongside these names that have been around for hundreds of years, and that's your competition. I mean, a lot of these purchases are, there's a lot of status-driven purchases, and there's a lot of emotional purchasing, and people really care about that story and that journey. And I don't think you can try and fabricate that with money. It doesn't work. And so at the end of the day, they were left with a lot of jewels that couldn't be sold, and that clients, weren't interested in buying. And so I think it's just being very, very authentic.
Yeah.
Is the key, and not trying to. And there's a period there where I kind of sat there and went, how do I almost create a history that I guess doesn't really exist? I'm the first kind of artistic person out in our family, and there's not a longer story there, but I went, well, just be authentic and be myself. And I've only been doing this for 8 years, and if you love my work and like the story behind it, then great, If not, then
this is who I am.
That's who I am. And I think it's being very authentic, and it's
because people are going to research you. They're going to dig deeper, and they're going to go, well, this is only skin deep.
Well, you can't,
and there is passion behind this. I think it's genuine interest in being part of the beginning of the journey too. There's a lot of value in that.
Oh gosh, yes.
Here's this wonderful journey that's starting, and I want to be part of. I want to be in years to come. I want that piece that I bought to go to auction and sell for some ridiculous amount of money, because the whole story's evolved, and it's got this wonderful, genuine. Even though it's only young, this wonderful, genuine story that is evolving.
Well, they were a big part of it too.
Yeah.
Well, we were just talking about collections because we're conscious of time here. Can we just maybe get a sneak peek into what's coming? I did catch wind last time you were over in Australia. Told me you've got a collection coming. Can we learn a bit about that, when we might see?
We can. So that we'll complete that at the end of this month, and that goes on display essentially exclusively for. We've given exclusive rights to the Berkeley Hotel for 3 months. So that will be on display in the hotel there. The collection, it's called One, as in ONE. And it is, for me, the core DNA of my work. It is really my work in the purest form and the greatest expression of how I design now. So it's sculptural. There's a lot of geometry, but it's very wearable. And we say, art jewellery, typically there's a kind of fine line of how wearable art jewellery is. A lot of people think, large, elaborate, ostentatious brooches covered in gems or, very large ornate rings. In this case, it's very clean. It's minimalist. It's sculptural.
It's a dinosaur.
And there's a lot of exotics. Yeah. So the way we're doing this, is there is a core collection in gold and diamonds, and then we'll create one-off pieces. When I choose to, that's the reality. It's when I choose to, we'll make a piece in mammoth ivory, in dinosaur bone, in meteorite. We'll do these one-offs and, offer them to the market. And, so we're trying to keep things somewhat simple.
Yeah.
But it's really, it's an exciting time.
Yeah.
A very exciting time. A lot of build up to this point.
Yeah. Well, we wish you every success for it, because it's
I can certainly feel the energy.
yeah, it's such a brave move, and I love it. I mean, that's why I always catch up with Giacomo every time he comes back to Australia, and that's why I grabbed hold of him again this time and said, can we catch up? I mean, this is something I'd love to do in a couple of years' time again, when you've moved to Iceland to sell to the Swiss. But we have one last question before you go. And
yes,
Giacomo,
please.
How do you define success?
It's a good question, because I think it's a question that is forever evolving in many respects for me. What I would have said 5-6 years ago is very different to what I say today. I think the more connected I become with my work, I'll try and answer this where it covers my work and life as a whole. But the more I've become connected with my work, I think it really, for me, it's very simple. I think it's waking up each day where my work and, the art I create still excites me. It's having those human connections, the people around me, my family, friends and clients, for them feeling seen, elevated, and valued. And really just to be able to look back on each day and I guess without wishing I'd spent the time differently. So it's being very content with what I'm doing. I don't think it's much more than that. I don't place far less value on financial success. Mm-hmm. I think the more I've placed less value on that, the better it's been. The more attention I can place on what I create and on what I love. And I think the financial side seems to take care of itself. And it's a hard thing to do. I think that's quite a difficult thing to do, especially when you are going through a difficult time, to try and not worry about that as much as possible. Because it really clouds the mind and clouds your judgment. And I think desperate times lead to desperate decisions. And I think you end up in a bit of a spiral. I'm sorry, I'm going for a bit of a tangent here. No. But, I think it's just valuing those simple things in life and the rest seems to work itself out.
I think it reminds me of a quote. We interviewed Ross Morgan, the artist, and I remember watching a documentary with him once, and I couldn't tell you who it is, but it was advising young artists about what to do, what to focus on. And his whole philosophy was just make good art.
It's true. I think it's very true.
Yeah.
It's very, if you can, it rings true for you.
I mean, I try and cut myself away from as much of the administrative work as possible because that clouds my days and clouds my mind. And I really now try to, all I really want to focus on is the art itself and is the work itself, and making that as best as it possibly can be. And I think if I do that, I think there's going to be a market. I mean, there is a market already. So there's, people like my work, and the more I invest into that, hopefully the more people will acquire pieces, and the more I can keep doing what I love to do.
Yeah. Beautifully said, mate. Thank you so much for your time.
It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, we love following your journey, and we'll continue to do so for as long as you keep answering my phone calls and my WhatsApp messages.
I always
putting
will.
up with silly quips. Giacomo, it's been wonderful having you on the show again.
Thank you.
So much.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Lee.
Until next time.
Guys, take care. Bye.
Thank you. Likewise. Bye-bye.
And to the listeners, I hope that you enjoyed that as much as we did. Thanks for listening to the show. And if you'd like to find out more about Chiron Audio or Devison Design and how we can create bespoke luxury environments and experiences in your life, you are more than welcome to book a call with one of our principals through our websites, chironaudio.com.au or devisondesign.com.au. Many thanks goes to our producer, Marcus Franks, and our editor, Jeremy Devison. Make sure you hit subscribe, give us a 5-star review, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next episode. Please take the time to leave us a comment, and we look forward to seeing you next time on Tales from the Top.